when he came back home. I'm 17 now, and for the past 4 years, a shadow has hung over our family. It's the kind of shadow that doesn't just darken the rooms of our house, but seeps into every moment, every memory, every hope for the future. My older brother, the person I once looked up to more than anyone, was taken away from us, sent to prison for something he didn't do. The world outside our home moved on, but inside, time seemed to freeze. I was 13 when it happened, and I remember the confusion, the disbelief, the ache of loss that settled into my chest and never really left. Back then, I didn't understand everything. I knew my brother was struggling. He'd always been different, always fighting invisible battles in his mind. Some days he was the brother I remembered, funny, protective, the one who would sneak me extra dessert when Mom wasn't looking. Other days, he was distant, lost in his own world, his eyes clouded with worries I couldn't name. Our parents tried to help, but no matter how many doctors or counselors he saw, it never seemed to get better. Sometimes I wondered if he was just pretending, but deep down, I knew his pain was real. The day they took him away is burned into my memory. I remember the flashing lights outside our house, the way the neighbors peeked through their curtains, the sound of my mother's voice, sharp and desperate, as she pleaded with the officers. My brother didn't fight. He just stood there, his hands trembling, his eyes wide and scared. I wanted to run to him, to tell him it would be okay, but I was frozen. I watched as they led him away, and in that moment, it felt like our family shattered. After that, everything changed. The house was quieter, emptier. My parents walked around like ghosts, their faces drawn and tired. My little sister cried herself to sleep for weeks. I tried to be strong, to pretend like I didn't miss him, but every night I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, wishing things could go back to the way they were. I kept telling myself he'd be back soon, that it was all a mistake, that someone would realize the truth and let him come home. But days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still he was gone. I never visited him. Not once. At first, I told myself I was too young, that it would be too hard to see him in a place like that. But as time went on, the real reason became clear. I was scared. Scared of what I'd see, scared of how he'd changed, scared that he'd blame me for not being there. So I stayed away. My mom and sister visited every few months. They'd come back with stories that made my heart ache. They said he looked thinner, that his hair had grown wild and tangled, that the medication they gave him made his eyes look strange. I tried to picture him, but the image in my mind never matched the brother I remembered. Guilt became my constant companion. Every time my mom came back from a visit, I'd listen to her stories and feel a knot tighten in my stomach. I'd nod and pretend to understand, but inside I was drowning in regret. I should have gone. I should have been there for him. Maybe if I had, things would have been different. Maybe he wouldn't have felt so alone. Now, after 4 long years, he's finally coming home. This Monday. I should be happy. I've missed him more than I can put into words. But instead, I feel a confusing mix of emotions. There's happiness, yes, but also fear, guilt, and uncertainty. I don't know what to expect. I don't know if he'll be the same brother I remember, or if prison has changed him forever. I don't know if he'll forgive me for staying away, for not visiting, for not being the brother he needed. The days leading up to his return feel surreal. My mom is busy preparing the house, cleaning every corner, making his favorite foods. She hums to herself as she works, a hopeful smile on her face. My sister has made a welcome home banner, colorful and bright, with big letters that say "We missed you." I watch them, feeling like an outsider in my own family. I want to help, to share in their excitement, but something holds me back. I keep replaying the past in my mind, all the moments I missed, all the chances I had to reach out and didn't. At school, I keep to myself. Most of my friends don't know about my brother. It's easier that way. When people ask about my family, I give vague answers and change the subject. Sometimes I wonder what they'd think if they knew the truth. Would they judge me? Would they understand? I don't even know if I understand myself. The night before my brother comes home, I can't sleep. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with questions. What will I say to him? Will he be angry with me? Will he even recognize me? I think about the last time I saw him, the way he smiled at me as the police led him away. I wonder if he's still that person, or if he's become someone else. I wonder if I've become someone else, too. Monday morning arrives, bright and cold. The house is filled with nervous energy. My mom is up early, pacing the kitchen, her hands shaking as she pours coffee. My sister sits at the table, clutching her banner, her eyes wide with anticipation. I sit in my room, listening to the sounds of my family, feeling like I'm on the outside looking in. When the doorbell finally rings, my heart leaps into my throat. I hear my mom rush to the door, her voice trembling with excitement. I stay in my room, frozen, unsure if I'm ready to face him. I hear voices, my mom's, my sister's, and then, finally, his. His voice is deeper than I remember, rough around the edges, but still familiar. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. After a few minutes, there's a knock on my door. My mom's voice calls out softly, "He's here." I sit up, my hands trembling, my heart pounding in my chest. I walk to the door, open it, and step into the hallway. At the end of the hall stands my brother. He looks different, older, thinner, his hair longer, his eyes tired. But when he sees me, he smiles, and for a moment, I see the brother I remember. We stand there, staring at each other, unsure of what to say. I want to run to him, to hug him, to tell him how much I've missed him. But instead, I just nod, my throat tight with emotion. He nods back, his smile fading as he looks away. The moment is awkward, heavy with everything we've left unsaid. The days that follow are strange. My brother moves back into his old room, but nothing feels the same. He spends most of his time alone, sitting by the window, staring out at the yard. Sometimes I catch him talking to himself, his voice low and urgent. My mom hovers around him, fussing over his meals, making sure he takes his medication. My sister tries to cheer him up, showing him her drawings, telling him stories about school. I watch from a distance, unsure of how to reach him. I want to talk to him, to tell him I'm sorry for not visiting, for not being there. But every time I try, the words get stuck in my throat. I'm afraid of what he'll say, afraid he'll blame me for abandoning him. I keep hoping he'll make the first move, that he'll come to me and tell me everything's okay. But he doesn't. The distance between us grows, and I start to wonder if it will ever go away. At night, I lie in bed and think about the past. I remember the games we used to play, the secrets we shared, the way he'd protect me from bullies at school. I remember the day he taught me how to ride a bike, running alongside me as I wobbled down the street. I remember the way he'd laugh, loud and carefree, filling the house with joy. I wonder if those days are gone forever, if we'll ever get back to the way things were. My guilt grows heavier with each passing day. I keep replaying the last 4 years in my mind, all the things I could have done differently. I should have visited. I should have written letters, sent pictures, done something to let him know I cared. Instead, I stayed away, too scared to face the truth. I tell myself I was just a kid, that I didn't know any better, but it doesn't make me feel any better. I feel like I failed him, like I failed our family. One afternoon, I find myself standing outside his door, my hand raised to knock. I hesitate, my heart pounding. I want to talk to him, to tell him everything I've been feeling, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid he'll be angry, that he'll tell me I'm a bad brother. I'm afraid he'll say he doesn't need me anymore. I stand there for a long time, listening to the sound of his voice through the door, before finally turning away. As the weeks go by, I start to notice small changes. My brother begins to spend more time with us, joining us for meals, watching TV with my sister. He still seems distant, but there are moments when he laughs, when his eyes light up with something like hope. My mom seems happier, more relaxed. My sister is overjoyed to have her big brother back. I watch them, feeling both happy and left out. I start to realize that maybe I'm not the only one struggling. My brother is dealing with his own pain, his own guilt. He's trying to adjust to a world that moved on without him, to a family that changed while he was gone. I see the way he looks at us, the way he hesitates before speaking, the way he flinches when someone raises their voice. I realize that he's just as scared as I am. One evening, as we sit together in the living room, my brother turns to me and smiles. It's a small smile, but it feels like a breakthrough. I smile back, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a glimmer of hope. Maybe things won't go back to the way they were, but maybe that's okay. Maybe we can build something new, something stronger. I start to forgive myself, little by little. I remind myself that I was just a kid, that I did the best I could. I remind myself that it's never too late to reach out, to try again. I start to talk to my brother more, asking him about his day, sharing stories from school. It's awkward at first, but slowly, the distance between us begins to shrink. I learn that healing takes time, that forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. I learn that it's okay to feel scared, to feel guilty, to feel unsure. I learn that being a good brother isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up, even when it's hard. I learn that love is stronger than fear, that hope is stronger than regret. Now, as I look to the future, I feel a cautious optimism. My brother is home, and our family is together again. We're not the same as we were before, but maybe that's okay. We've all changed, all grown, all learned to be a little more patient, a little more understanding. I know there will be hard days ahead, but I also know that we'll face them together. Sometimes I still ask myself if I'm a bad brother. The guilt doesn't disappear overnight. But I'm learning to be kinder to myself, to forgive myself for the mistakes I made. I'm learning that it's never too late to make things right. I'm learning that love means never giving up, even when it feels impossible. My brother's journey isn't over, and neither is mine. We're both still healing, still finding our way. But for the first time in a long time, I believe that things can get better. I believe that we can move forward, one step at a time, together. And maybe that's enough.